never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate.
What is going on, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Shout out to everybody catching this on the live. If you're catching this on the live, come on in, come on in. If you're catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comments section. We are dropping on a new time today. It is a little early. We're still going to do our 6 p.m. show. I'm still going to do my 6 p.m. show later on tonight. But I thought, hey, let's jump into some morning stuff. Let's see how this rolls. Let's roll it out. Let's roll it out. Shout out to everybody catching this on the live. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody catching this on the live. What is up? What is up? What is going on? And then shout out to everybody. Shout out to all the mods in the chat. Shout out to the mods in the chat. What is going on? What is going on? We got a lot to talk about this morning. Although some of you guys already seen me last night, but hey, we are rocking it. We are rocking it. Shout out to Jason Stacy. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to My Mind. What is going on? What is going on? Hope everybody's doing amazing today. Kathy, what is up? Yay for the early show. Yeah, we rocking the early show today. We'll still be back at 6 p.m. later tonight. But I thought, hey, you know what? Let me test out some times on the morning show. Let's see if we can bring some good conversation in the morning. So why not? Why not? Good morning, Catherine. Good morning. Shout out to Stacy. Lunchtime, Jason says. Yep. After this, I'm gonna get some food too. Hopefully. Everybody, those of you that are in the Midwest, if you're watching this in the Midwest, you stayed safe. I believe we're gonna be dropping and talking about that some of those tornadoes that are hitting the Midwest. But let's jump into this opening here. All right, let me make sure I got everything set up. Here we go. All right. First up, we're going to talk about Alina Habba. She isn't just Donald Trump's attorney anymore. She's the U.S. attorney in Jersey, and she came out absolutely swinging. A 14-year-old blood gang member was arrested and will be charged as an adult. We're going to be talking about that for murder of a Newark detective. Let that sink in for a minute. A 14-year-old. This isn't just some situation, some tragedy. It's a symptom of everything that has gone sideways over the past couple of years, at least in my personal opinion. From weak parenting to woke prosecutors to public schools teaching pronouns instead of actual consequences. This is just my personal opinion on this. Then we're going to jump into some Doge stuff. Some more Doge stuff over at the Doge headquarters. We got Elon Musk, the CEO, the Doge volunteer CEO of Valar, Antonio Garcias, just made a promise that every government scammer who greenlit Social Security numbers and benefits to illegal migrants will be arrested. Finally, some prosecution is going to happen. They're treating this an organized fraud entity that it actually is. We're also going to be talking about some shady dealings. We got the shady dealings. You guys remember Hunter Biden? Of course you do. Hunter Biden, that crackhead, right? Well, Hunter Biden's former associate, his fall guy, just walked out of prison because Trump commuted his sentence, and now he's talking. He's spilling all the beans. He's dropping names. He's exposing cover-ups and laying out how the Biden crime family, the first family, okay, paid off operatives like it was a Netflix documentary. We're going to jump into John Kennedy. John Kennedy is back with his southern draw and some sharp one-liners like he always does. He says, we need to design a tax code that actually looks like it's designed on purpose. Translation, our tax system is broken. Then we're jumping into Calley Means, who absolutely went scorched earth on actual lobbyists for 8 minutes straight. A pure red pill fury, calling out corporate food, big pharma, and how DC worked together to profit on everybody's sickness. And then we're jumping into Eagle Pass, where law enforcement called this recent border crossing a James Bond style crossing. This is no joke. From tunnels to drainage systems to rooftop sprints, these desperate migrants are getting organized. They should be teaching a CIA class. And in response to Congressman Dan Goldman, he wants enhanced cybersecurity for SNAP benefits because apparently people have been hacking EBT cards. While the person can't afford eggs, somebody in Morocco just bought $200 worth of Mountain Dew on an EBT card. And then finally, we're going to jump into Mother Nature. She just hit a level 5 button. Tornadoes, severe storms, entire towns from Arkansas to Missouri. Absolute chaos. We're going to jump into some of those videos. So today we got kids in gangs, Musk cleaning house again and again, Hunter's crew flipping, border turning into an action thriller, and Washington, D.C. to actually care about tornadoes. Let's jump in. What is going on, friends? What is going on? Man, my prayers go out to anybody who's been affected by this tornado situation. Somebody said there's floods in Ohio. It's going to get wild over the next couple days. I just looked at the weather forecast. It's going to be wild for the next couple days. Floods, tornadoes, severe storms all across the board in the Midwest. Speaking, Stacy says, she's bipolar. Speaking of bipolar, the weather out here in Las Vegas is absolutely bipolar. It's super manic. It's like somebody going through a midlife crisis. Hot, cold, sunny, windy, rainy. I don't know whether I should wear a sweater, a t-shirt, wear a light jacket. I don't know. The weather is crazy here. Stacy says it's 53 degrees and raining. Man, it is probably, I don't even know the temperature right now, but I know it's a little, let me check real quick. The weather out here is 53. All right, let's jump in to Miss Habba. All right. I'm going to jump back into a story. This happened about 8 days ago. A 14-year-old was charged in Newark for killing a detective. I'm going to give you the recap of that, and then we're going to jump into Miss Habba. She's a bad mamma jamma, by the way. Here we go.
Year-old accused of a horrific crime, charged with shooting and killing a Newark police detective.
All right, tonight there's a push to change a New Jersey law that prevented the suspect from being charged as an adult. Fox 5's Kendall Green live in the newsroom with the details. Kendall.
Hi, good evening, Steve Natasha. Newark detective Joseph Viscona was 26 when he was gunned down in the line of duty less than 3 weeks ago. That's when he and another officer were both shot while responding to reports of a suspect with an illegal gun. Now, police have charged a 14-year-old with his murder, among other charges, but the detective's family doesn't think that's enough. That's why his mother, just a week ago, filed a petition on change.org that's already rounded up nearly 16,000 signatures, calling on New Jersey lawmakers to change the age when a teen can be charged as an adult. Currently, New Jersey state law requires an offender to be 15 or older to be tried as an adult. So the law protects offenders 14 and younger from adult prosecution within the petition. Now, the family says the state's unwillingness to sentence the 14-year-old has left their family in a painful position, saying, quote, "We firmly believe the gravity of the crime committed should be the determining factor of the proceeding, not the age of the offender." But a New Jersey attorney argues, despite the brazen nature of the crime, that's not likely to happen.
the petition and the public at large are creating some type of a position that they want this young man to be treated as an adult.
How many of you guys in the chat and how many of you guys in the comment section, by the way, if you're catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comment section, but how many of you guys think that it should be based on the crime, not necessarily the age of the person? Okay, this person was 14 years old, and he murdered a detective.
But I think the only way of changing that with this type of movement and momentum would be to have the legislature change the law in the future. But I don't think any change in the law would make it retroactive, but it could be. My gut says, even with the petition that was signed, I think it's going to be an uphill battle to have him waived up as an adult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but unlikely.
And this guy has presumably a previous rap sheet.
The Jersey
here.
State Police Union also joined in on the family's push in a letter to the Jersey State Capitol last week. The union's president, Michael Fox, called on lawmakers to eliminate the age restrictions and allow prosecutors to charge minors as adults. Now, as it stands, if convicted, the teen faces a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. Steve, Natasha?
All right, Kendall.
20 years in prison, trying to be trying to get in with this gang. A blood member, right? Teen blood member, gang member, was nabbed in New Jersey by U.S. Marshals with former Trump attorney, Miss Habba. These guys got more outfit changes. It's fantastic. They should all be selling merch. She has like Miley Cyrus vibes on it. I like it. I like it. Send that punk to prison. Yeah, absolutely.
A raid with New Jersey's newest Attorney General, Alina Habba. I had never seen a U.S. attorney go on raids, and especially not raids like that. These were all pretty dangerous, and the people that were going after were even more dangerous. Gang members and people who were attacking police officers and all sorts of things. I do not criminal residences all the time, but I'm not usually surrounded by guys holding AR-15s while I'm holding my cell phone. You know what I mean? It was a little bit of a change of pace for me for a normal Wednesday morning. So the rundown, the playlist, so to speak, of people they were going after was pretty varied. It was a bunch of people who were shooters, who were shooting people. One of them was a weapons trafficker. And the first person who was actually collared was Zaki Hauser, a young Bloods member who was arrested wearing an Amazon delivery outfit. And I was watching them bring him out of the building, and they actually, like, as they were coming out with him, and the new U.S. attorney came over and just grabbed him by the arm and they walked him out to the car. I was just like amazed. I was impressed. I'm not easily impressed. I was impressed. After every arrest and before every arrest,
she's a bad mamma jamma
gaggle where they got together, and the point man on whatever criminal they were looking for gave kind of like a update on, this is what we're looking for. This is what he's being charged with. This is what he did allegedly. We all had another little briefing about David Bogar, who was wanted for aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer. So he wasn't somebody who they thought was going to be coming quietly. And
they're cleaning up New York. They're cleaning up New Jersey. Everybody in the comment section is agreeing regarding that it should be at the caliber of the crime, not necessarily the age of the person.
He was hiding under the bed, and I guess he thought that they weren't going to look under there. I don't know.
Oh, that's
but they found him,
man,
and they brought him out. And again, Alina Habba just walked over to this. I don't know. He had to be 6'5", 26-year-old. No fear. I wasn't going over and grabbing him by the arm. So kudos to her. When we got to the end and we had all survived and we had a minute, I asked her, why are you doing this? I've never even heard of a U.S. attorney going on raids like that. And this is what she said.
I can't do my job if I don't understand what these guys do every day. So they do all the legwork. They go get the bad guys. They put so much time and energy into doing it. And now it's the U.S. attorney's job to make sure that we get them locked up and that they go to jail for a long time. In the state of New Jersey, I can commit to the fact that while they're all here doing their job, I'm going to go back to the office and make sure my team is doing their job to support them and what they do.
So would you rather be out here today doing this or in the Oval Office?
Don't get me in trouble with President Trump. I have the greatest life. I have the greatest life. Honestly, this has all been truly an honor, and today was special. Thank you so much.
I got the chills, right? Because the administration is out here actually fixing stuff, and they're showing it a lot. They're showing what they're doing, which is great. On a marketing standpoint, for optics and all this other stuff, but then B, actually locking some folks up that have been committing crimes. This is absolutely great. I love it. And how neat of this, Miss Habba, right? Miss Alina Habba, she's Trump's attorney, you know, and she's out here arresting fools.
Get back out here, but get back out here to fight for him. I met his parents, his mom and his aunt the other day, but like I said, that individual, that 14-year-old, I wanted that case. I will do the same for every case. I understand frustration because you guys build a case and people get them, and then we come in and we say, oh, it's not enough strong enough case. We're going to make sure the cases that we're getting are good, and then my office is going to do everything we can. I don't care if you're a minor. If you kill a cop, and if you're violent in the streets, in my streets, I'm coming after you hard. I don't care. You'll be tried as an adult, and I'm going to do that in any case that I absolutely can. So she
just said it right there. Doesn't matter what the situation is. If you kill a cop, you're going to be trialed as an adult. What's up, Patrick Kennedy? Violent crime should be charged as an adult. 100%. I agree with that. Hotshot 420 says, send that punk to prison. Amen. Amen to that. I wasn't even sharing this video. You guys just had audio. Oh, yeah. 20 years sounds more than fair. Bloods and Crips are a joke. The logic, you need to ask yourself, what is the point of the judicial and criminal punishment? Is the point to punish for punishment's sake or to remove liberties as justice and to show society? Good point. Good point. This dude was 14 years old in the streets. In the streets. Elon Musk said that he was going to prosecute these individuals. A couple days ago, they did a town hall right before the Wisconsin votes. And they were talking about the Social Security numbers and the benefits. This was an interview on Fox with the CEO of Valor, excuse me. And they said that they're finally going to prosecute some folks. He looks old.
It's a jaw-dropping number. Where did all those people come from?
Well, it made my jaw drop too when I saw it. You know, we were in Social Security looking for fraud, waste, and abuse. And to do that, we actually looked at the enumeration system, the system by which people get numbers in America. And we found that there were just about 5+ million of them that came to the country as illegals, were giving various forms of parole or allowed in the country. And they got through an automatic system, Social Security numbers, so they get into our benefit systems. And we tracked that through and found that they were on the benefit programs. And just because we were curious, we then looked to see if they were on the voter rolls. And we found in a handful of cooperative states that there were thousands of them on the voter rolls and that many of them had voted.
That's crazy because you cannot vote in a federal election, but I think in certain local elections you can. But, you know, once you get a Social Security number, that helps you do a lot of stuff. I know, Antonio, part of this started with a program from, I think, 2017 that got started, where if people came into the country and they were authorized to work, they would automatically give them a number. But, you know, Elon was talking a little bit about how 400,000 Social Security numbers were stolen. It was one person. What can you tell us about that?
That's an ongoing investigation, so I don't know how much I can tell you, but we did find as we looked through the programs, a particular employee that had actually sent themselves Social Security numbers through their email for reasons we don't understand, but clearly nefarious.
Yeah, it does sound like it. So let me ask you this, Antonio. Have you figured out, you saw these millions of people, non-citizens, on the Social Security rolls. Did they get benefits?
Yep.
Yes, we actually tracked them through the benefit programs. We found them in virtually all the benefit programs. And one statistic for you is we found 1.3 million of them on Medicare.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to those people?
Look, we referred people that were registered to vote, which is a federal crime, and people that voted to ICE, to DHS, and to the DOJ. They've committed to prosecute. And I think it's super important to point out here that none of this would have happened without President Trump. I mean, President Trump had the courage to allow us to go across databases. He signed an executive order. It's never been done before, where agencies could talk to each other and databases could talk to each other. That allowed us to connect all this data to find these people across the system, across the benefit system, all the way to the voting records.
Yeah.
We talked about this last night. So there was an FAA or FHA loan program for illegals. Now, after they get their Social Security number, after they get their benefits package, a lot of these illegal migrants are getting benefits. They're getting Medicaid, Medicare. They have Social Security. All they needed to do was cross the border. This is nuts to me because Antonio says here that somebody was sending Social Securities out to some folks. And I have a thought or a ponder that somebody is making money off of this. Besides, we already know who's already making money off of this, but some mid-level business guy is probably selling these Social Securities and benefit package to illegals.
Yeah.
It really took a lot of courage.
Hey, Antonio, you're a big shot business guy. You know what you're doing in your business. When you went in, I can't think of the last time somebody essentially audited the Social Security Administration, aside from the federal government. But they've got all these kind of antiquated, crazy rules. Like I know you uncovered millions of people over the age of 120, and just recently kicked them off the rolls, right?
Yes, that's correct. We did an audit of the entire system, enumeration system for Social Security. And look, the reality is the people in the government know this. There are many, very good people that are helping us. We couldn't have found this stuff without them. We need them to point us in the right direction, and then we looked at the data. So, if you ask people the right questions, they will give you the answers, and they want to help.
Yeah. Antonio, exit question for you. Given all of the abuses you've already found and these people who are getting federal benefits who should not, do you have a price tag on how much you guys are saving the American taxpayer just from Social Security?
I mean, look, it's in the billions. You saw the fraud on the phone lines itself. That was about $1.5 billion. And I would guess at Social Security already, we're north of $10 billion.
$10 billion they're saving taxpayers. This is great. Thousands of illegals voting is exactly what demon rats are fighting for. They just wanted these open borders to get these sanctuary cities so people can come in. And then they're like, oh, the Democrats provided you with all this stuff. All that we're asking in return is that you vote for us. That was the situation with the open border policy. Oh, we're giving you all these benefit packages. We're giving you all these stays at beautiful hotels. You get the EBT card. You get all this other stuff. And the only thing that we're asking is that you vote for us in return. Who you think they're going to vote for, right? And then a lot of these folks are watching leftist legacy media where they're getting their news. So then they get incorporated into the system and they think it's the right thing to do to vote Democrat. You can vote whatever you want to vote at the end of the day. But this is what they were pushing for. Exactly, Catherine. This is exactly what they were pushing for. And it's over. It's over now. I'd like to see some arrests happen, to be honest with you guys. I'd like to see some folks get prosecuted. Stacy writes, no rat is mad about this. Not one rat is mad about this. Not mad about them finding the nonsense. AOC's grandmother has been dead for years. but they were collecting her Social Security check for the past 14 years. Wow. Really? Really? That's wild. Mike D, they're pumping chickens full of steroids and it passes through once they're eaten. Absolutely. I saw a video, they were trying to sign them up for refunds. Come on. Don't we already give them benefits enough? And then we have veterans on the streets. We have veterans living on the streets. We have veterans with mental, illnesses. We have veterans addicted to substances. And it seems like the veterans have been at the bottom of the totem pole in regards of getting them reacclimated back into society. And their main focus the past 4 years have been focusing on illegal migrants. What about the veterans? What about the people in this country? Gina W. writes, has anybody heard about Epic City building in Texas? I'm horrified for that in the U.S. I'm actually going to jot that down. I'm going to jot that down. Epic City, Texas. I'll look that up after this video here. The developer of Colony Ridge is funneling illegals into the land development. Wow. Wow. Really? Thank you, Gina. Thank you for the Epic City as an Islamic Muslim people to have their own mini Arab place with all amenities. Okay. I briefly saw that article last night. I'll check that out. Veterans and homeless, while illegals had been living high on taxpayer money. Yep, absolutely. Catherine said, I saw a veteran get talked down from suicide and I was bawling my eyes out. My brother is a vet with PTSD. These folks fought for our country, and a lot of them fought for wars that were completely unnecessary and completely unavoidable. And they come back here and they got severe PTSD. They've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen with them, with their colleagues getting blown up, getting shot at. They were executing missions that may be questionable in regards of morality. And they come back here, they got PTSD, they get addicted to opioids or whatever the situation is. High-ranking officers in the military, and then they can't even get a job. None of those credentials lead over. I have a buddy of mine, high-ranking officer in the Marines. He did, I think he did like eight or 10 tours, something like that. And they don't even really look at his history, his military background. And he's just been doing just kind of like odd jobs. I told him actually to get into government contracting because he can do the same job that he was doing in the military as a government independent contractor for 3 times the amount of money. But our government treats them like second-class citizens. I agree with that. I'd like to see some arrests happen with this situation, though. Let me know what you guys think about this. Humor is coming back in style with the memes. Laughing always helps. Yeah, it does. All right, we got Hunter Biden's former business associate is now spilling all the beans. He was on Hannity talking about all the shady dealings of the Biden crime family.
Looking out for himself and his family. On Friday, President Trump granted clemency to the so-called fall guy for some of Hunter Biden's alleged crimes. Now, Jason Galanis was Hunter's former business partner and actually testified as part of the House GOP impeachment inquiry against then President Joe Biden. Tonight, Jason Galanis joins us with more. Well, first, I'm glad everything worked out for you. Number one, your testimony before James Comer's committee, the House Oversight Committee, on influence peddling. What did you learn about the Biden family?
Yeah, Sean, delighted to be here. Thank you for having me, and opportunity to thank the president for his leadership. And he's a once in 100-year or more president, and he's taken it to the DOJ and the weaponization. And I'm delighted to be able to be here and thank him, and thank Chairman Jordan, Chairman Comer for rooting out and giving him the proof of what's come to light about the Biden crime family. So I think that there's some parallels, some intersection in my direct experience with the Biden family, and then my prosecution that sort of runs directly parallel to what happened with Russia to the president, and to the impeachment hoax. And those things run right straight through the New York prosecutor's office, and then even into your past segment, into some of the Democratic courts controlled in New York. And I think that big law is on notice, and the president is on to them. So be warned, the president is on to them. And I've never seen a lawyer smarter than the President Trump, who knows the law better than any lawyer. I'm sure you would agree with that.
Let me ask you, you were sentenced to 189 months in prison. The Biden family got preemptive pardons. How
Did you guys
much
just hear that?
money
100
do you
something days in prison?
Pardons.
100.
How much money family got preemptive? You were sentenced to 189 months in prison.
189 months in prison. And the Biden crime family got preemptive pardons dating back to 2014. Hunter Biden's laptop situation, the Russia hoax. No wonder why Donald Trump and the team removed his Secret Service situation here. Patrick Kennedy writes, when was the last time anybody saw Sleepy Joe? Last time I saw him was when they loaded him up on Marine One on Inauguration Day. Yeah, I haven't seen him at all. I haven't seen Jill at all. Ghost Town, because they know they're getting they know they're getting creeped on. All their stuff, all their funky monkey business wrongdoings are coming out.
Prison. The Biden family got preemptive pardons. How much money do you believe, based on your understanding of their business practices, do you believe the Biden family made, and how much of it do you believe was related to influence peddling?
100% of it was influence peddling. I saw it firsthand. It was part of our game plan. And I say our game plan because at some point, my legitimate businesses became illegitimate by aligning with Hunter Biden. And the alignment included the Biden Lift or Biden brand, and that was selling the Biden name. By definition, I think that's influence peddling, and it resulted in tens of millions of dollars with the intent.
Do you know for a fact
many
that Joe
times more
Biden
than that?
Was Joe Biden aware of all of it?
But I can tell you firsthand he was. He was on at least 2 phone calls, business phone calls, that I was directly participant in.
And when he said that he never once spoke to his son, his brother, or anybody about their foreign business deals, was that a lie?
Sean, that's a lie. That is an outright lie. Documents have proven it. Chairman Comer has proven it. Chairman Jordan has proven it. That the corroborating evidence that I produced, that Mark Paoletta, who fought tirelessly for me, for the committee, for the country, produced corroborating evidence that is a lie. Quid pro quo. Joe was on the golf course negotiating with the Chinese Communist Party to be able to sit on the board and take money from the Chinese. It's absolutely a lie.
And that WhatsApp message says a lot, doesn't it? And you're not getting the $1 billion, leveraging $1 billion in Ukraine.
They used him and let him loose. Now he's spilling the beans. I believe Hunter Biden hasn't quit his crack habit. He looks awful. He does. In that mysterious video that he did outside of a villa or something like that. He still looks like he's on drugs, man. He has nothing else to do. Not sitting on the board of Burisma anymore. Catherine, Not for long. His skeletons are coming out one by one. And his daddy, Biden. Yep. Stacey writes, Hunter is a herp. Yeah. Think he's gone? Nope. There he is. Being shady and nasty. I wonder what kind of wrongdoings he's into now. Still probably doing the same bad habits that they caught him on with the laptop. Hunter Biden looks like he hasn't bathed for months. Everybody's spilling the tea on the Hunter Biden crime family. On the Hunter Biden. Do you let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comment section. You think Hunter Biden's sober? Do you think Hunter Biden's sober? I don't think so. What is going on, Ricardo? What is going on? That video. Let me see if I can pull that video up real quick. What was that? That was that mysterious Hunter Biden video. Let's see. Dude. Is this it? This is it, right? This dude's not sober. These comments, at least he has his clothes on. Probably back on crack. Oh. Oh, man. Looks like a Quentin Tarantino movie. Yeah, it does. I don't know, man. He made a bunch of money. I think he blew it all on crack. Me personally, I think he blew it all on crack. Veronica writes, my heart aches for our military personnel. I encouraged my nephew to join in 2007. He came back so different. Yeah. looks like a bit from the movie The Crank with Jason Statham. Oh. All right, we got I haven't watched this full clip. We got Senator John Kennedy back in the news with his one-liners, zingers. Talking about Trump's April 2nd, Liberation Day. Let's see what Mr. John Kennedy has to say.
Thank you for helping out. So before we get into, what's Trump going to do, what does Senator Kennedy think is the most expeditious, most efficient way of trying to rectify the unfair trading practices? What you've been thinking about this, Senator?
Lower prices, improve quality of life in America. I think President Trump won this election in large part, Larry, because people felt like he would be better in terms of the economy. What does that mean? That means lower prices, better quality of life. Our plan is to do that in three ways. Number one, reduce spending, which will cause interest rates to go down and stimulate the economy less. Deregulate the economy so goods and services will be cheaper. And number three, design a tax code that looks like somebody designed it on purpose. Now, what role could tariffs play in all of this? The truth is nobody knows. I've listened to economists for the last month, Some say this will cause a recession. His tariffs will cause a recession. Others say it will cause growth. In my 8 years in Washington, what I've learned that for every economist, there's an equal and opposite economist, and they're both usually wrong. Some of these experts make those late night psychic hotlines look respectable.
Yes, sir.
I do know this. I understand where President Trump is coming from. America is the wealthiest country in all of human history. It's consumer driven. Our people like to buy stuff. So the president is saying, let's use our leverage. He's saying to every business in every country in the world, if you want to sell to America, move your business here. I get it. And in the long run, he's right. But in the long run, we're all dead. The short run matters too. And the truth is, we do not know yet what the impact of these tariffs are going to be. We just don't.
Well, he certainly set up a lot of incentives for onshoring. Come on here, build a factory here. We're going to give you immediate 100% expensing. We'll give you a low tax rate, 15% corporate tax rate. I mean, I think that's part of it. My thought in the opening riff was just simply to say that the tax cuts and the deregulation will go hand in hand with the tariff diplomacy, whatever that diplomacy happens to be. I mean, it's going to pay to come here. I think that's a key part of this story, sir.
Well, let me say it again. I believe that the recipe for lowering prices is to reduce government spending, deregulate the economy, extend the Trump tax cuts, and redesign the tax code. I know that will work. I don't know what the impact of tariffs will be. It may be positive.
There's a reason why Joe Biden kept the existing Trump administrations. When Biden took over, he kept those tariffs in play because they actually work. Bringing back American manufacturing. We saw this a couple videos ago. Hyundai is already launched. They're talking about, hiring thousands and thousands of people in these jobs. Initially, there's going to be a little bump. But at the end of the day, if we have quality products that are built, manufactured, assembled in the United States of America, it will be better long term because it'll provide more jobs. We're going to jump to a video later about JD talking about the tariffs as well.
But I just don't know, and no one knows. Here's the best case scenario. The best case scenario is that you're absolutely right, that tariffs cause businesses in the short run to move here. They hire people, the economy explodes. Worst case scenario, the tariffs cause inflation. Inflation causes the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates. That puts pressure on labor costs. People are laid off. We go into a recession. We lose the midterms, and President Trump's 4-year term just became a 2-year term because if we lose the House, the president's going to spend his last 2 years defending himself against frivolous impeachment proceedings. So that's the best case and the worst case. All I'm saying is, I'm being very candid. No one knows the impact of these tariffs because in the long run, I think we'll be fine. But no one knows the short run impact.
Well, I think actually, I would tend to agree with you. No one has a perfect crystal ball short run. I think, Senator Kennedy, I think he's looking long run. I think he's convinced that we can do much more in manufacturing. I think he's convinced that we've had the short end of the stick. The world trading system has been broken for many decades. The World Trade Organization, isn't worth it's not worth the ground that it sits on, wherever it sits on that ground. I think he's looking at it from a longer. He himself has said, and it was interesting that he said it, that there might be some difficulties in the short run. He's actually said that. And, I think Trump would be willing to make adjustments along the way if there are, for example, too many difficulties.
Let me say it again. I agree. I see where he's coming from. And in the long run, if these tariffs cause businesses and other countries to move here, that will be a net positive.
100%.
I get it. All I'm telling you is that in the short run matters too. It just does. And anybody that tells you that they know what the short-term impact of these tariffs is going to be on the economy has been homeschooled by a day drinker. They're making it up. They just don't know because we've never seen tariffs in modern history to this extent.
No, roger that. You were mentioning government spending a few minutes ago. Here's a little quick.
Long-term, yes. Long-term, yes. Bringing back American manufacturing back into the United States. No more, manufactured, assembled in China stuff. What do we actually need from that? Okay. What do we actually benefit from that? We bring back American jobs. We bring back a livable wage for individuals. These are all the things that happen long-term with these tariffs. We don't really need much things. Yes, you know what? China has their situation where a U.S. patent can come out, but a U.S. patent for a good or a product means nothing to China because they'll just copycat it and remake it and sell it cheaper. They're going to continue to do that, but continue to do that in China. Continue to do that somewhere else. They're saying that, hey, you know what? If these tariffs happen, what about labor costs and things like that? It's not necessarily going to affect too much in regards of the home prices per se, because home prices are dictated based off of comps around the area. Patrick Kennedy, I'm naming my first son Senator. That's a cool name, Senator. That's a man's name right there, Senator. I like it. I'm going to jump into some of these comments here. We need to keep Senate red just because Trump is in. We have control now, but we can't do anything with rats and rhinos. Agreed. Yeah, Stacey, I agree with you. That Wisconsin election needs to be investigated. I think so too. When I saw that in the morning, I was like, that's then. And they also need to extend these Trump tax cuts too. Catherine, look how bad Biden left it. They need to let President Trump's administration work. Exactly. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. Veronica with the super sticker. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Where's my cheers at? Here it is. Thank you so much, Veronica. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Potatoes and carrots are cheap and filling too. Exactly. And we can actually grow potatoes. You can grow potatoes. You can grow carrots. Go to the local farmers markets. Go to these local spots where you can actually pick local food. Eggs. I shared a couple videos ago. I actually talked to my buddy who officially had ordered these eggs from the Amish farm. They deliver it directly to you. It's great. $4.97 for 1 dozen of large eggs. That's a win. That is a win right there. Virginia, exactly. What I have cooking in my crock pot has been ready by 4 p.m. You want to see the effects of American manufacturing? Google Maps streets, Gary, Indiana. There was once wealthy to build that town. Business left, and look what we have now. Let me pull that up, actually. I'll pull that up. Gary, Indiana. Let me see. Same thing happened to Detroit, too, when everybody left out of Detroit. But now Detroit is booming. Let me pull it. Let me see. Looks like they're doing some stuff there in Gary, Indiana, too. My buddy was just stationed in Indiana, running some solar farms out there. Wow. I just popped up a Reddit feed here. I'll pull it up a little bit later. Let me see if I can. If you have a street, let me see. I see all these vacants here, vacant lots. Anyways, I just paid $2.99 for a half a dozen eggs. Top that. That's great. You guys got me hungry over here. Defrost and roasts and all this stuff. That's great. Let me see if I can pop it in. Main Street. Let me see if I can find it. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I don't want to bore you guys looking at Google Maps. But let's see. Oh, here we go. Wow. That's wild. Beautiful architecture, absolutely destroyed, demolished. Look at this. Crazy. Wow. Thanks for pointing this out, Patrick. But you know, everything comes back. Everything bounces back. Everything bounces back. So it might be a good opportunity to invest in Gary, Indiana. I might look into it. It's an urban ghost town. That's wild. That's wild. All right. Calley Means calls out corporate lobbyists. Let's jump into this. Went for 8 minutes straight calling out corrupt lobbyists to their face in a Politico interview.
Nonstop infomercial for pharma. It's a Sky Rizzi commercial followed by Scott Gottlieb saying how Bobby's killing people, followed by a breathless coverage of the measles outbreak and no mention of
but Calley,
the mental health crisis.
How does cutting a bunch of HHS solve that problem?
It is insane It is insane for you to insinuate that the thing standing between us and better health is more government bureaucrats. Like that
That's
is
not what I meant.
demonstrably
That's
insane.
not what I'm
That is what
insinuating.
everyone's saying. It is absolutely insane to insinuate that it's some crime.
It's not all
Peter
bureaucrats.
Marks-
It's a lot of
that-
scientists. It's researchers. It's people who are making sure that our
those
systems are
scientists
safe.
fundamentally have overseen, just demonstrably, a record of utter failure. It would be insane. Is that funny? Is that not true? I'd love to hear how. So what metrics would you guys point to for how the scientific community, how the 4 times more per capita on healthcare spending that we spend in America versus other countries has produced innovation? Has there been one single chronic disease medication in modern American history that has lowered rates of the chronic disease? It is appropriate that the American Academy of Pediatrics right now, which is 90% funded by pharma, is pushing Ozempic on 6-year-olds.
So Calley,
That
why
is
not-
what the
why not
medical authorities
push-
are doing.
why-
Like the idea that
Are the cuts gonna stop there?
Bobby Kennedy should not come in and make dramatic changes to the leadership and the personnel at these authorities that have overseen an abject devastation of American health, which the lobbyists in this room do not have the humility to admit that we have gone completely wrong. The lobbyists in this room laughing when we have the sickest children in the developed world. If that is your attitude, and your attitude is to tell the Maha moms that their votes and their voice is not legitimate, that we need dramatic changes to American healthcare. If you think it is illegitimate for Bobby Kennedy to not make big changes to people like Peter Marks, who once again and again went against FDA advisory opinions, who fired the 2 top vaccine makers, the 2 top vaccine scientists at the FDA for suggesting that we shouldn't mandate COVID shots for soldiers, who continually went against expert opinion in favor of the pharmaceutical industry, who many people here were collaborating with him with. The fact that somebody like that can't be fired and he can't install tremendous people like Marty McCary and Jay Bhattacharya and Dr. Oz to start reforming these agencies and put in their people, of course he should do that. That's what people voted for.
So I think the question, though, is a lot of dynamic
lobbyists,
responses
a lot
in
of
the
people
audience.
that profit from
But
kids
let
being
me
sick.
ask you this.
Fundamentally, what Bobby
Have a
has
good day,
done
Virginia.
is taken over a department that has utterly failed.
Becoming healthier can be expensive. Right now in America, getting food that is better for you costs more, and it is such a barrier for lower income Americans that also have the worst health outcomes. So how are you planning to bring down the cost of being healthier in America?
Yeah, one thing Bobby Kennedy is not going to do is entertain comments from food industry lobbyists using food prices as an excuse to continue poisoning children. Like, that's not going to work. And I know a lot of you guys are doing that. And I think if you really back up, that's an evil argument. That's the only argument the food industry is making right now. They're trying to hold a gun on food prices to literally not even dispute the premise that Americans are being poisoned. We have 10,000 chemicals in our food that are not allowed in any other country.
10,000 chemicals. 10,000 chemicals that are not allowed in other countries.
There's a lot of lobbying to actually prevent even transparency about what's in their food. There's voracious lobbying from industry about preventing, that's going to embarrass us. That's going to make us look bad. We, at the baseline, what Bobby Kennedy's saying on food is we need to know what's in it. We have to have accurate science on the chemicals in our food. So what President Trump and Secretary Kennedy have talked about, it's not pro-business, anti-business, it's anti-corruption. We should have scientific guidelines that are not corrupted by industry that tell Americans the truth. We should have transparency for American consumers and lawmakers of what is in our food. We should start with transparency and the truth. That's what President Trump did with his executive order on the Maha Commission, which is not going to talk about policy. It's just going to lay out the truth of why kids are the sickest in the world, something that lobbyists here are hissing at, something that lobbyists here.
Why would they hiss at that? You see this. You see the massive obesity rates in children. You know, they go to McDonald's because it's quote unquote affordable, but their French fries have 20 ingredients in them. 20 ingredients, preservatives, and all this other bull crap. The cereals that they eat, they market towards children. There's a reason why these cereal boxes have cartoons and colors on them to attract kids. And then they get addicted to the sugars and the high fructose corn syrup in there. And let's not even get into the jab situation during the vids, during the pandemic. They pushed that thing out so quick.
for some reason have no self-awareness or humility for the state of American children's health. So what Maha is trying to do is there's obviously going to be a lot of work and a lot of lobbying on the Medicare, Medicaid reimbursement rates, but there's something fundamentally, and I think everyone can agree, fundamentally broken with the incentives of our healthcare systems. Clearly, that's the case. So it's transparency. It's asking fearless questions. It's being led by Jay Bhattacharya, who represents that more than anyone. We're not going to be afraid to give American patients the truth. The truth, by the way, which is really prevented often by lobbyists of the truth getting out because it could be embarrassing to industry. So
the lobbyists just want to push their agenda. They want to push their agenda. They want to make big pharma more filled with money and greed. Veronica writes, Candace Owens has been riding RFK lately. Yeah, she has. She has. I actually got to catch up on that series. She has, especially his connection with Rabbi Shmuley. Catherine, they profit from sickness. It shouldn't cost more. It's wild. Gina, in the 80s, we took 5 vaccines, 18 years old. In the 90s, it's 15 to 17 vaccines by 18. That is insane to me. You know, I've been to Peru 3 times. And the first time I went to Peru, I had asked a buddy of mine. This was back in, when was the first time I went? First time I went was in 2014. And I asked a buddy of mine who, I was like, hey, should, you know, at the time I was like, hey, do I need to get all these? Because they gave me a full list of vaccines and all this other stuff to get. And I'm like, I'm not getting any of this because I'm not about that. That's me. You can make your own personal opinion on that, whatever you need to do for your kids, or for you, but I'm not about that. And he was like, our bodies have built-in immune systems. The people in Peru don't have vaccines there, besides the ones that, you know, the Gates Foundation is shooting them up with. But the only real concern out there would be from mosquitoes, and you can protect that through like DEET. So I just got 100% DEET, which is also really bad, but it shoot away the mosquitoes. And then actually I stayed in the jungles for like 30 days or 2 weeks, excuse me. I was gone for 30 days. I stayed in the jungle for like 2 weeks, but they have their own oils and treatment that they use to protect themselves from mosquitoes. And then also they use a particular like smoke that they smoke on you that's a mosquito repellent. We don't need all this stuff. We don't need all these vaccines that are filled with lead and all this other stuff. We just found out a couple weeks ago that some of the baby formula was filled with lead. Some of the baby formula. Ergy, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Quotes, right? Remember that food pyramid? The food pyramid, the old school food pyramid? Yeah, fetus. I can count the vax on one hand. We had to get. Yep. John Airdrie, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Was John Kellogg, inventor of cornflakes. Cornflakes manufactures a lot of other cereals too, or that brand does. Yeah, me either. Haven't gotten a tetanus shot in a long time either. I think I was a little kid. Makes no effing sense to me. We allow food, the most important thing for us humans, to be changed into chemicals. If you guys look at the back of ingredients, I've been on this for a long time. If you look on the back of the ingredients, a lot of food, the first thing is some canola oil, high fructose corn syrup. That's the first ingredient. A guy that I like to follow, and I actually have his app, his name is Bobby Parnish. He has an app, made it super easy to check foods to see if they're Bobby approved or not. I'm a fan of Bobby. And I just follow those guidelines, because those canola oils and all this other crap, they create inflammation in the body. Inflammation in the body creates phlegm, creates all this other stuff, creates arthritis, all this other stuff. And that is what we have to remove from our body. Phlegm, inflammation, all that other good stuff. Dr. Living Good is a good one. Okay. If you can't have breast milk, goat milk is the next best. Yeah, when did I get off of milk? Like milk. I got off of milk probably 2014. 2014. I got off of like milk because milk, like 2% milk, the gallons that you can buy at the store have sugar in them. And I recently, like about a year and a half ago, I got my grandma off of milk because she was seeing spikes in her insulin level. She has, she's borderline type 2 diabetes. She's 89. She turns 89 years old this year. Shout out to grandma. But I got her off of the milk because she was saying that her insulin levels, her sugar was spiking. And I was like, how much milk are you drinking? She drinks a lot of milk. My grandson drinks only goat milk. I tasted it. Goat milk is pretty good. I like goat cheese too. All right, let's jump into this next one here. This was a wild story. James Bond style border crossings at Eagle Pass. These guys are getting creative. These guys are getting creative here.
Border crossings are nothing new, but a recent Mission Impossible style attempt in Eagle Pass left law enforcement stunned.
So how did it all unfold? The News 4i team's Jordan Elder takes us to the scene for a closer look at how this underwater attempt went wrong.
We've done several stories over the years about migrants trying to cross this river looking for a better life in the United States. But one recent crossing attempt is unlike anything we've ever seen. It all started in a neighborhood about 5 blocks from the border. A concerned resident called 911 after seeing someone lurking near this drainage area.
He was all dressed in black clothing, and his suspicion was that he might be trying to get into some houses.
Senior police officer Humberto Garza says when police arrived, they caught these 2 men from Guatemala and Mexico. And it quickly became clear that this was no normal crossing attempt.
Well, the black clothing turned out to be wetsuits. They also had these devices I think I've only seen in, like maybe the James Bond type movies.
Water propulsion devices, sometimes called underwater scooters.
Or the assumption is that they use them to navigate through the treacherous Rio Grande to cross over onto this side.
How rare is that?
That's a first for us. We saw that and we're like, we couldn't believe it.
These devices typically go for $400 to $800, depending on the retailer. Likely a bit cheaper if they were purchased in Mexico, but still a major expense. And Garza says it's no coincidence the migrants were found in this area.
They were probably trying to either hop the train or they were waiting for somebody to pick them up.
The migrants were turned over to Border Patrol, who also noticed the cinematic nature of this attempt. The Del Rio sector posting this video of the migrants set to Mission Impossible music. We're told both men were processed for expedited removal. What does that tell you about the times that we're in now, that people would go to this extent to fly under the radar and get expensive devices like this?
If somebody wants to get through, they're going to make every attempt and find every possible way they can.
This river is very dangerous. You have those whirlpools and that's why we have a lot of drownings here.
Maverick County Sheriff Tom Schmerber says this was a method he'd never seen before, but he wasn't surprised to see migrants going to these lengths to cross.
We are specifically reinforcing the border.
In the last few months, the federal government has sent troops, military vehicles, and more resources to the southern border.
They're getting creative. 10 and Stimpy. Oh, man. They were like, hey, fool, we're going to go across the border with the electric things, man. Oh, in wetsuits and everything. That's hilarious. Oh boy. All right, let's I'll actually save this one. Let's jump into this tornado situation here. We got this tornado situation going on. Shout out to anybody in the Midwest. So tornadoes, severe storms slam America's heartland. National Weather Service issued tornado emergency throughout Arkansas and Missouri, Lake City, Turnman, Blytheville. Check out this. Look at this massive thing here. That's wild. What's even more wild is that there's people that actually chase these tornadoes for a living.
Going into early morning, afternoon, and evening because we still have another round of severe storms. Level 3 out of 5. Now, keep in mind, Wednesday was a 5 out of 5, and so that was the peak risk for severe storms. But here's where the concern lies. It is in the same exact target zone where these storms that have been erupting Wednesday afternoon and evening are going to set up and really take shape. What's happening is we have this frontal boundary that's going to stall out and linger rain and the threat for severe weather for very similar communities. So if you live in Memphis, the threat is not over. Brandy, she is right in this general area, very southern Indiana here. They're under a level 2 out of 5, so primarily talking damaging wind gusts and potentially the chance of a few embedded supercells with some tornadic potential there as well. So that's not the only threat. Let's talk about hail for a second. We could be seeing hail at egg size. And that not only, I know we've been really focused on the Mississippi River Valley, but let's jump back into Dallas, Texas too. I mean, the Dallas-Fort Worth, one of the largest metros in the United States, I would say probably over 1 million people. Don't quote me on it, but I mean, it seems pretty logical, where they could have over 2 inches in hail. So
That's wild to me. That's wild. Jax, yeah, the link for the Discord group is in the description down below. The Discord group will notify you pretty quickly once I go live. Also, Veronica, I love seeing you, Tyson. Never get notified live. Yeah, YouTube sometimes they're acting up sometimes. So the best way is drop into the Discord group. You can chat with the individuals. Ideally, you can chat with the individuals, connect with like-minded patriots, just like you are in the chat right now. The Discord group will notify you a lot quicker than YouTube would. If you're just doing it for the notification purposes. We also do movie nights down there in the Discord group, hosting fights and share memes, news stories, topics, things like that. Stuff, and it's completely uncensored down there. So tap into the Discord group. It's in the link in the description down below. Yeah, this storm is wild. Stay safe, everybody who's out in the Midwest. All right, I'm going to jump into this interview here real quick with JD Vance. I'm not going to play this whole thing. I'm going to play a portion of this because we're going to talk a little bit about the rest of what he's talking about later on tonight.
Vice President JD Vance, thanks so much for joining Fox and Friends this morning.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
So the last time we had a one-on-one was in your house. You weren't Vice President yet. Right. You were auditioning You were the only candidate that said if you didn't get selected, you would be disappointed. Well, you got accepted. So congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you.
Let's talk about some of the issues that matter to the American people.
Sure.
And it's the president's new tariff policy. And when I think about what he got elected on is bring the cost down for people, but also bring manufacturing back to the country.
That's right.
These are gonna kind of hit each other, right? Explain to us how you get manufacturing here, but also get the cost down for the American people.
Well, if you go back a little bit, Lawrence, remember during the first Trump administration, everybody said that Trump's tariffs were going to be inflationary back then. What actually happened? We had 1.5% inflation. We had the fastest growing economy in a generation, and we had the beginning of a manufacturing renaissance in the United States of America. Then, of course, we had 4 terrible years of the Biden administration. But I think it's useful for all of us to step back and ask ourselves, what has the globalist economy gotten the United States of America? And the answer is fundamentally it's based on 2 principles: incurring a huge amount of debt to buy things that other countries make for us. And to make it a little bit more crystal clear, we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture. That is not a recipe for economic prosperity. It's not a recipe for low prices, and it's not a recipe for good jobs in the United States of America. For 40 years, we have gone down that pathway. We've seen closing factories. We've seen rising inflation. We've seen the cost of housing so high that most Americans can't afford to buy a home right now. President Trump is taking this economy in a different direction. He ran on that. He promised it, and now he's delivering. And yes, this is a big change. I'm not going to shy away from it, but we needed a big change, Lawrence. We cannot keep going down the Joe Biden globalist pathway where we have $2 trillion of peacetime debt and deficits. We have manufacturing disappearing. That is not working for Americans. We've got to take this country in a different direction.
Mr. Vice President, there does seem to be a disconnect. You see Wall Street in the media, in the markets, and they're freaking out right now.
People that have the funds, people that have the money, the available funds to invest are going to do so. They've been sitting on the sidelines for a long time to do this. You see this with the Hyundai plants and all these other manufacturing companies coming to the United States. They're setting up for 4-year plan, 5-year plan, because long term, the U.S. economy is going to be thriving again. It's going to be a little bit bumpy initially based on stock market and economists, but there's still opportunities out there.
Yep. But then I look at those workers that were in the Rose Garden yesterday and they're celebrating. I think about all the diners that I've done across the country and all these businesses saying we've lost manufacturing here, and they're celebrating the move. What is the disconnect between the market and the people, those workers that are cheering this on right now?
Well, I think on one hand, frankly, a lot of people have gotten rich from American jobs moving overseas, but American workers have not gotten rich. And frankly, American companies have not gotten wealthy from the increasing growth of foreign competitors manufacturing overseas. They, as the president says, Lawrence, these foreign companies, they charge us ridiculous tariffs. They engage in a lot of non-tariff practices like currency manipulation. That has been awful for Main Street in the United States of America. It's meant those diners, their customers don't have jobs anymore. It meant those great steel mills, those great auto plants have closed down and their workers have been laid off. What I saw yesterday in the Rose Garden was incredible enthusiasm, because a lot of those workers, they've been working hard for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, young and old, were in the Rose Garden yesterday. They've never had a president who stood up for their jobs and stood up for American prosperity. They finally see something has shifted. There were Democrats out there, Republicans. There were union and non-union workers alike. They know this is a big change, but we need a big change in this country, because what we've done, what we did under the Biden administration, it just wasn't working.
So, Mr. Vice President, I know a lot of MAGA folks, a lot of Americans that are cheering the president on, especially when he takes it to other countries.
Sure.
They feel like we've been screwed for a long time.
Yep.
But I also know people that come from our background, they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Of course.
And they want to do the patriotic duty of taking it to these other countries, but it's going to hit them a little bit. They feel. What can you tell the American people that they just can't afford an extra $3 here and there about the government making up the difference from that? Will costs go up at some point? Will this just be temporary? Are we talking 3 months or 6 months?
Well, we certainly hear, and I appreciate, you know, how I grew up.
I know.
I grew up in a family that often did live paycheck to paycheck, and we know a lot of Americans are worried. So we are fighting very hard to bring prices down. We're going to have the biggest deregulation in the history of this country. We're doing a lot of things and already have done a lot of things to lower the cost of energy. You heard the president mention this yesterday. Eggs, when we came in, were at a 10-year high, and all of a sudden they've dropped 60% just in the 2 months of the Trump administration. What I'd ask folks to appreciate here is that we are not going to fix things overnight. Joe Biden left us, this is not an exaggeration, Lawrence, with the largest peacetime debt and deficit in the history of the United States of America, with sky-high interest rates. You don't fix that stuff overnight. We know people are struggling. We're fighting as quickly as we can to fix what was left to us, but it's not going to happen immediately. But we really do believe that if we pursue the right deregulation, we pursue those energy cost-reducing policies, yes, people are going to see it in their pocketbook. They're also going to benefit from the fact that foreign countries can't take advantage of us anymore. That means their jobs are going to be more secure.
I don't think you can talk about this, the tariffs, and not talk about the tax cuts as well that we're expecting.
We're going to jump into the tax cuts later tonight, but there's JD Vance right there talking about the tariffs. You know, we are going to see a little bit of a bump, a little bit of a hiccup, just because of the cost of goods and things like that. Airg makes a really good point. When factories closed, manufacturing went overseas, we went to 2-income households to survive. Exactly. The Biden administration, Catherine writes, the Biden administration throwing gold bars off the Titanic wasn't an issue, though. Exactly. Right? I don't remember who wrote it. By necessities. Veronica, buy only necessities is essential. 100%. You know, how many more Chinese manufactured little bookshelves and stuff like that do we actually need? You know, putting food on the table for the family is the most important thing. You know, and a lot of these folks have been complaining about, oh, when I call AT&T or when I call blah blah blah, you know, it's a foreign person talking overseas. You know, eventually those jobs will go electronic with technology, but a lot of people, the same people that are complaining about, oh, the tariffs are the same people that were complaining when they call up Verizon, when they call up AT&T, and then they have somebody foreign answering the phone call. That is an outsourcing situation. But, you know, if we have American jobs in place, imagine if those, just imagine with me for a moment, you know, if those outsourced jobs actually went to individuals like veterans that actually needed a job, or American workers that actually needed a job, people that have been complaining for years, for the past 4 years about, oh, I've been putting in my resumes for jobs and I can't get a job. Well, because there hasn't been any American manufacturing, there hasn't been any American-made products in the United States. So therefore, there's little or no job opportunities. In this situation, when American manufacturing comes back to the United States, we'll have more job opportunities for the American people. Just to go off at Airdrie's point, when factories closed, manufacturing went overseas, and we went to two-income household to survive. We should only import what we can't make here. Gina, I'm tired of made in China, 100%. You know, and there's another thing with this made in China stuff. I have a GMC Denali, and it has the what is it, a 3, I don't even remember, was 6.2 in it, 6.2 engine, and it has that flex fuel situation, and the engine is a great American made engine, but the parts that are connected to the engine are made overseas. And the point that I'm going to get to here is that those parts overseas are made out of cheap plastic. And those cheap plastic parts are meant to break. Have you ever noticed, like the first house that I bought, in 2009, it had an old washing machine in it. And I'm talking about, it was a ceramic washing machine built in the like 80s, the late 80s. And that thing was still running. Those old products that were made in the United States were built to last, not meant to break. Chinese crap is meant to break. Same thing with IKEA. No bull crap on IKEA, but you got to put it together yourself with the instructions that are complete trash, okay? Just with images, no directions. And then they're really just made to assemble one time. One time. If you take it apart or if you move, the legs are going to be wobbly, all this other stuff. Same thing with the Wayfair bull crap. Long time ago, I bought Wayfair stuff. This was a long time ago. And then all that stuff came out with the kids on the Wayfair. Then I was like, no more Wayfair. But the Chinese crap isn't built to last. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below. We do it better ourselves, 100%. Jax writes, it's unbelievable how many Americans are against American growth. Exactly. LJ, the only building to fall in Thai earthquake last week was built by the Chinese. Yeah, I cannot wait. I cannot wait till we start seeing manufactured and assembled in the United States. Made to last. Yep. When my dad passed away, I took the washer out of his house. It still runs. It was from the late 80s. Those things are heavy. The washing machine. I remember when it finally busted, and I had fixed it a couple times myself, and I think the motor finally burnt out on the thing, and I had to get a new one. But to get that thing out of the house, it was me and two other buddies to get that thing out the house, because that thing was heavy. It was built out of like ceramic, and they don't make the washers and dryers like they used to anymore. I used to be able to put big old quilts and down comforters in there. Now the new washers and dryers, you can barely fit like a half a load in there. I've got power tools from the 50s that still work. Yep. That's awesome that you still have that washer. What color is it? What color? Mine was like a yellow orangish color. It was crazy. Remember those old Maytag commercials? The repairman had no work. Yep. Those old refrigerators were heavy too. Yeah, those old refrigerators. You know what? And that whole I saw this thing on TikTok a couple weeks ago about the old refrigerator. A gentleman tested the energy of an old refrigerator and a new refrigerator, and they're claiming that the new refrigerators are energy savers and things like that. But at the end of the day, after his test was complete, both of them gave same amount of input and output of energy. All right. I'm going to jump, but I want to give a huge shout out to Veronica. Shout out to Veronica for the super chat. Truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Make sure that I got my banner right. Shout out to Veronica for the super chat. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Shout out to Veronica for that. And be sure to tap into the Discord link. It's in the description down below. Again, the Discord link Discord will notify you quicker than the YouTubes. Patrick Kennedy, I worked for a local furniture store as a repair technician. On foreign stuff is expensive crap, and the quality of American made has gotten worse to keep up with the prices. Exactly. Yep. Today's dishwasher runs 3 times as long and doesn't clean dishes. Yep. All right. So those of you that aren't privy to the Discord group, again, it's in the description down below. I think Patrick Kennedy is hosting a movie here in about an hour on the Discord group. But again, Discord link will notify you fairly quickly once videos pop up. Turn on your notifications also on YouTube. And I will be back later on tonight at 6 p.m. PST. So again, shout out to everybody catching this on the live. Shout out to the moderators in the chat. Without you guys, without the mods, without the chat, this wouldn't be anything. So truly appreciate each and every single one of you. And if you're catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comment section down below. Smash the like button, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys tonight. Chat soon.